Lovely. Do 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 do.
Do 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 do.
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Power Pod with your hosts, myself, Owen, and
Me, Mark.
me, Mark.
Me, Mark.
That's just me. That's just me, Mark, right there.
Yeah, that's your man, yo. Me, Mark. Yeah, we're back again. Doing it again. 46. The exact number of US presidents. Did you know that?
We should have done that like for every episode. It's like,
Fun fact about the number, whatever.
number
X.
22. That was President. Don't know.
Yeah, Monroe or whatever.
Yeah, whoever. Our President Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. Alt history shit.
How you been?
I've been great. You know, buzzing away. Thankfully, it's not as hot as it once was.
Jesus, yeah.
It's nice and cloudy these days, with a side of torrential biblical flooding rain.
Yeah.
The first ever power pod that was abandoned due to bad weather on Tuesday.
Can't fucking do this.
Yeah, I couldn't. It was just like you get pneumonia if you walk down that thing. Soaked. I was fluck go cracking or whatever. One of those shan knuckles. I was fucked basically.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, soaked to the bone. But yeah, we're back now. It's not raining anymore, but still, like it's like a nice temperature, you know.
Yeah, it's humid still.
Yeah. So that's all you want. Yeah.
That's all you want. You just want like not rain, but also not like I can't go outside because I might die because of the heat.
Yeah. I'd hate to be, anywhere else in the world, pretty much.
America.
Right now, you know? America, yeah.
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest.
They're
You see,
getting fucked.
700 people have died.
Yeah, because I learned about this thing. Hank Green on TikTok was talking about it. There's this thing called wet bulb temperature.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
In geography, I can't remember.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's like it's a measurement of like seeing how humans can survive in the heat because you have like different temperatures, whatever. But wet bulb temperature is like survival heat for how much we can sweat and keep ourselves cool. But then like if you can't sweat enough to keep yourself cool and you're still continuously getting hot, that's when you can die.
Yeah.
And in America, they've reached that point, and that's why 700 people died. Where like Hank Green was saying, like if you don't have air conditioning, like you were fucked.
Yeah, that's not great to hear.
Even if you're inside, like it was just too hot.
Yeah. That's not great.
No.
You know, like how does that happen? Climate change, bro.
Oh yeah.
It's literally here as well. You know, crazy temperatures last week, and then you got flooding rain, like literal floods. There was like all the storm drains were flooded.
Yeah.
You know,
Mental.
from week to week. That's not normal. I don't think it's normal. I don't remember that happening back in the day.
But it's like I saw like then because I saw Hank Green's TikTok through someone else stitching it, and the other guy was just like, I just feel like it's just about to collapse, isn't it? Like it's like
it's over.
It's like this. Whoa.
We just collapsed right now. There we go. We're back though. That's all it needs. That's all the climate needs.
Yeah.
A little tinkering.
Yeah, just the tinkering.
You know.
The tinkering being getting rid of major corporations that are like, polluting our waters and ruining the earth.
We just need to
See
control it.
See that water that's literally on fire? I don't know if it still is on fire, but
Yeah, in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put that out, but that was hellish.
yeah.
You know, hellish stuff.
I saw people and I was just like, and I was agreeing. I was like, yeah, you're right. It's like, what the fuck is the point of me using paper straws when that shit's still going on? Like,
Exactly. Yeah, the turtles. You know, they're like, oh, thank God, there's no more straws in the ocean. You know, not even talking about how the straws got there, as you said before, but they're like, oh, thank God, there's no more straws. Oh wait, we're on fire. They're like, how are we on fire? We're underwater.
Yeah.
But they're on fire. You know.
Yeah, it's just like no matter how many people go vegan, no matter how many people like reduce waste, whatever. You know, the average consumer, the average person isn't costing the environment nearly as much damage, or collectively like an entire. If you had 5 million people that were polluting or whatever, that doesn't matter compared to companies that are causing even fucking far worse.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
so much waste. Like, see that Amazon plant that just like in Scotland that gets rid of like hundreds of thousands of pounds of equipment every week, like flat screen TVs, like premium luxury products just thrown out. I can't remember. I don't know why. I don't think I even read the article, but I saw the headline.
Yeah.
I was just all based off a headline, a clickbait headline.
That's
Probably isn't true, but that definitely does happen. The amount of waste is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you know, like the service industry.
Yeah.
The amount of waste, it's fucking ridiculous.
Fucked up.
It's insane. It's just like you have to pour it down the drain, put it in the bin. So someone can have this, you know. Someone could drink this. Someone could eat this, you know.
Yeah, it's just like you can do something with it, but they're like no.
Yeah.
And even the way that they like they'll throw it out into a bin and they'll lock the bin so that someone can't have it. It's like why?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so fucked up. It's such a
Scumbags.
waste.
Scumbags. You know, put it all to use.
Yeah.
Put them to use in camps.
Yeah.
You know.
Put those people that brought us here.
Yeah, exactly. Put them in chains.
Put them in chains. Let them, I don't know, build them
Let them sort
windmills.
themselves out. Yeah, they can have their own little thing, their own little planet. We'll send them off to Mars or something.
But I don't know. I'm okay. Like if ecological collapse, that's gonna be bad. But at least at least we won't have to work in offices anymore. We'll be farmers and shit.
That's very true. But how are you gonna be farmers if like everything's fucked? You can't farm. Like the Middle East.
Take to the sky, bro.
Sky farming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be
Underwater farming.
Oh, like sort of like fly fishing.
Yeah.
But actually flying.
Yeah, flying. We'll
Like
grow wings by that stage. Like those ants downstairs.
yeah. We'll evolve. We'll unlock the DLC pack. We have wings. Like we have vestigial wings on our backs. Like that's what the
shoulder blades.
Yeah, shoulder blades are. Ever see that Sky series? Skellig.
No.
Tim Roth's in it, where he grows wings.
I've never seen that.
Based on
Wait, oh my god, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Whoa, you just unlocked the holy shit. Yeah, I remember seeing Sky like promote that for fucking ages.
Yeah.
And then I watched it and I was like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's alright, yeah.
I literally can't remember it at all though.
It's like a kid and like Tim Roth is there and he has wings. Something to do with vestigial wings that humans apparently had. Probably not true, but we have a lot of vestigial things.
Yeah. It's just like whales have like hands and shit.
Yeah, got the thumbs, got the legs. They got little legs. You know that thing on top of people's ears? Like sometimes people have like so I have that thing here.
Yeah.
It's actually from when we were monkeys. You know the way monkeys have pointed ears?
Yeah.
Like the little captains and stuff. That's what that is.
That's mental.
Apparently.
Yeah. I believe it, yeah. It's the same thing as like when you watch the development of a fetus. Like you can see the different stages of where we originally came from. Apparently,
yeah.
Like, that looks like a fish, and then it develops into something else.
Yeah, it's just speed running evolution.
Yeah, it's literally running through evolution.
Yeah.
That's what the kicking is.
Yeah,
just running.
This guy's doing a lot of work, about 50 billion years worth of work. Yeah, a lot of energy involved.
Yeah, a lot of food needs to be consumed.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. What have you been watching this week?
What have I been watching? You know what I did? I returned to cinemas.
Oh yes, I did as well actually.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah. I just went to go see the Lin-Manuel thing.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
It's good.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a great selection right now. Obviously, because people are kind of afraid. I think production companies are afraid to go balls deep straight away.
Because Tenet lost a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah. And like a lot of places that still aren't open, and people are kind of concerned about going back to the pictures and all that stuff. But I went to go see Another Round, which is a film that we talked about briefly before. Thomas Vinterberg, 2020 film.
Academy Award winning film.
Academy Award winning is the best foreign picture at the Oscars, and the whole backstory is very, very tragic because it was about like it's based on this kind of hypothesis that this guy called Finn Skarderud has. He's a Danish psychoanalyst or something like that, and he has this idea that humans are born with a blood alcohol deficiency of about 0.5%. So
is it true though? Is that an actual thing?
I think it's just sort of like a thought experiment. It's more like a jokey kind of thing. Like I don't think it's completely serious.
Yeah.
But his idea is that we're at optimal performance with about two standard drinks. So like 2 glasses of wine or like a can and a half.
That's how this podcast works.
That's literally that's what I was thinking as they explained it in the film. I was like, that's literally what we do every Tuesday now. But that was like that's the premise of the film. It's very silly, kind of like mundane kind of premise. But it's a good kind of thought experiment at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone gets that. Like there's a certain level where you're at like a buzz, but you're not like you're not slurring your words.
You're not like us on Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, doing silly things. Yeah.
Absolute carnage.
Yeah, absolute scenes. But you still get the effects of drink. Yeah. Which is something that isn't really talked about a lot, even though it's a huge part of like socializing in pretty much every society. Yeah. Ever, pretty much. Like the effects of drink, like what it does, like it makes you more relaxed, more confident and stuff like that. But the film is based on that premise, and they had this whole idea. It was going to be kind of like a comedy. Yeah. sort of like about the exploits of these few characters. And Thomas Vinterberg's daughter was going to be in the film because the film is about these four middle-aged sort of average high school teachers in Denmark, and she was going to be one of the students. And they started filming, and I think there were 4 or 5 days into filming, and his wife and the daughter got into a car crash, and the daughter died.
Yeah, I heard.
Which is not a good vibe at all.
Yeah,
and they had to start again, and obviously the mood completely changed on the set and like in the production itself, and they had to kind of go back and, you know, they couldn't just go back to it as it was. They had to sort of recognize that this had happened, and they sort of changed the sort of the vibe of the film. It's more dramatic. They made it more dramatic, and it's more kind of like life affirming. It's more about life, and like you have this idea. I had this idea anyway going into it. It's going to be kind of like a morality tale. Yeah, it's like, oh, don't do too much of anything, you know. Yeah. Like it's kind of like a moderation story.
Yeah, everything in moderation's okay.
Yeah, because it's basically the four lads, the four middle-aged, mundane, average high school teachers. They decide to do this because Mads Mikkelsen's in this, and he's amazing. He's an amazing actor anyway. I already love that guy, but he's amazing. Hannibal, yeah. There's certain scenes in this that like really pay off, in terms of like a cinema going experience, because it doesn't really feel like it'd be something that'd be good in the cinemas, like an event film, like something like Tenet. Yeah. But there's scenes in it where it's like really like tight, like close-ups. There's like a certain scene at a dinner table where Mads Mikkelsen's character is sort of like coming to terms with how his life is kind of like run into a dead end. Like he doesn't. It's like a dead end job. Like the students don't respect him. His wife doesn't really respect him. He never sees his kids and stuff like that. He's always working, and it's like sort of the spark has gone out of the relationship. And there's like a diner scene where he's with the 3 other lads, and they're just talking about work, and it like starts like coming in on his face. Yeah, and you just see him kind of like break down in like slow motion almost, and the conversation's going on as the camera's panning in, but like his eyes are like filling up with like tears and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool in the cinema.
Yeah, something that you wouldn't maybe pick up on.
Yeah, something that I probably wouldn't have like appreciated as much on like a
smaller screen.
Yeah, like a phone or like a laptop or whatever. But yeah, so like these 4 lads decide to put this sort of hypothesis into action, and every day when they go to work, they have like 2 swigs of vodka or whatever, and obviously the effects, the positive effects of drink, you know, they sort of run into a price at some stage. Like it's not like we have 2 drinks every day and that's it. Like obviously they run into kind of like an addiction, or like an escalation where they start drinking more and more. But at the same time, the film doesn't go, oh look, like you start drinking and then it's just going to escalate and like that's it. It's not like, oh, like they fucked up by starting drinking in the first place. It's more like drink is great, basically, is the message of the film. But it's only like exacerbates things that are already there. Like if you're having a bad time and you keep drinking to get away from the bad time, it's gonna
like
be
using it as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. But at the same time, like it brings them together. Yeah. And there's all these moments that they have. Like Mads Mikkelsen's character, he suddenly becomes way more. He's way more assertive in class, and his lectures are more fun, and it's like his students are engaging with him, and he like reignites his relationship with his wife. And his kids love him again. And there's like another guy. He's like a gym teacher, and he's all fucked up. He's kind of like a lonely character. And he's like teaching like a kid's soccer team, and there's like a little kid called Specs, who's sort of like an outcast of the group, and he like builds up his confidence and he scores a goal in the game. There's like this big kind of emotional moment where he's like he's having this connection with another human being, which you don't really see otherwise in the film, and he's drunk the entire time or like tipsy. Yeah, but it's not like the film doesn't say these are fake moments. Like this is they're lying to themselves. It's more like these are completely authentic, genuine moments, and that bears itself out like throughout the film. Yeah, at the end,
that's such an important thing about like substances and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like they're only gonna. It's like that thing. It's like there's no such thing as a bad drug. It's just our relationship to the drug that is bad.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Because you have these really cool, authentic moments, and obviously things get out of hand as the film progresses. It almost follows like the structure of like a night out. Like you have pre-drinks, or you have like they're sober. You have pre-drinks. You have the session, and then you have the aftermath. But then the film kind of circles back around, and they're doing pre-drinks again by the end of the film. Obviously, there's repercussions. The aftermath, like the hangover, basically, like the metaphorical hangover. where one of the characters is like sort of pays the consequences in a really tragic way, but it's nothing really to do with the drink. It's more kind of like as I said, it's like the problems that he had beforehand kind of like being brought to their own conclusion, and like the drink just sort of carried him there. It was just kind of a thing that he had along the way. But at the same time, like the connections that all different characters have are all completely authentic, and they're never like shied away from. They're sort of celebrated as really beautiful things, and like the moments like life is kind of about and all that stuff.
Yeah, the moments.
Yeah, the moments. You know, the kind of like authentic, ecstatic moments. Yeah, ecstatic kind of truth. Because this is Thomas Vinterberg, who co-founded Dogma 95 with
Lars von Trier.
Yeah. So he's all about that ecstatic truth kind of thing.
That's very interesting. That sounds really good. Because I've heard people talking about it, and I've heard people going like, "Oh, Mad Mikkelsen dancing at the end is amazing." That's all I've ever heard about this film. And
yeah.
But I haven't heard people talking about that side of it, that it's about like how it's about life. I just heard people saying like, oh, it's about life, but not going into it at all.
Yeah, because
you explained it really well without spoiling anything. Well done.
Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil it because the ending is a dance sequence.
Yeah, I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah,
Mads Mikkelsen is actually a dancer, which I didn't know. Like, he was a dancer before he was an actor. He's like a ballet dancer. Yeah, and that's a joke in the film as well. They're always like at the start, they're like, "Oh, show us your ballet," and he's like, "No," and then he gets more into it, and by the end, he's like proper doing there's a full on dance sequence at the end of the film, but it's not like a Bollywood or like Slumdog Millionaire kind of thing. It's like he just starts dancing with the students after this really tragic moment, but the whole thing is like it's not kind of like an Oscar kind of bait kind of thing where it's like, oh, life is actually grand, you know, like just don't do too much of this. It's more about like the journey that got them there, or just sort of living in the moment. Yeah. Like all these terrible things have happened, and like the drama and stuff like that. But it's not much to do with the drink. It's all about like a journey that he's gone on to learn to live in the moment. Yeah. And that's what he's doing at the end of the film. Yeah. Like I've heard people have like different interpretations of the ending as like kind of like either an ecstatic thing where he's learned all this and he's like sort of become more in touch with his like former self when he was younger. Or as like he's back on the drink or whatever. Yeah. Like I could not. I think people who like think the latter or read the latter part into it just didn't get the film because it's not that kind of morality tale at all. Yeah, you know, it's not a drugs are bad thing. It's like it's a drama. Yeah, celebrating life pretty much, which is all comes from pretty much, you know, the director's daughter dying at the start of the thing, and the last sequence has a song as well. It's a pretty good song. I keep seeing it in my YouTube recommended because I was looking up reviews, and it has like millions of listens now as well. It's a pretty popular song. It's called like "What a Life" or something like that. It's like an electronic song. And it's just Mads Mikkelsen dancing to this, and then there's a freeze frame at the end. It's very cheesy.
Yeah, like freeze frame.
It's very cheesy, but the whole premise is pretty cheesy and pretty mundane. But the way they do it is it just works. Yeah, it works very well.
Man, I really want to see this film now.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. I'd recommend seeing it in the cinema, yeah.
I might have to do that.
Yeah.
I have to book something on the weekend.
Far away, like.
That sounds unreal. Yeah, because I heard like loads of stuff about it, but like I haven't heard that side of it. It is so it's like because you know like people will like disparage things. It's like, oh, I only said this or did this when I was drunk or whatever. Yeah. But like, it's like when people talk about acid and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, you don't do acid if you have X because it'll only exasperate that." Yeah, yeah. So like, it's the same thing with drink, where like it's gonna bring out these things that are already there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not gonna change you really.
It's like, oh, I only like when you're out with your mates or whatever, and you just like grab the boys, like, "Fuck, I love you boys," whatever, and it's like, oh, I was only saying that because I was drunk. It's like, no. The drink allowed you, or like unlocked this, like this feeling that you had that you weren't like that whole thing, Dutch courage and stuff like that. Yeah, like that type of stuff is like, it allowed you to tap into your emotions and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, yeah. Best conversations I've ever had as drunk, like.
Exactly, I think everyone has that, which is something that like struck me when I was watching it, because there's something that's like an essential part of life to most people. Especially here in this country, and there's a lot about it in the film. But like,
we've shat in our country for that before. Like,
yeah. Like Denmark has a similar problem, which is
day drinking,
which is addressed in the film. Like the film starts off with like this marathon drinking session during the day that the high school students are doing, and they're all drinking like bottles of Tuborg and stuff. I was like, it's just like, but
love to see it.
But they're just having fun. It's not like these are degenerate kids, or just, you know, they're like they're carefree, they're stupid, they're young, they don't understand how they're going to be when they're older. It's more like this is what it's about, you know. This is what socializing is. Like, you do stupid things. You drink to excess sometimes. You're just excessive in general sometimes. But like, that's the part of it, you know. Like there's so little out there about our relationship with drink, our relationship with I don't know, intoxicants in general. Like, a lot of this film is kind of like, it's like intoxicated masculinity almost.
Yeah.
I saw that someone saying that because it's like this relationship that these four guys have, and there's no real women in the film, but it's kind of about the lads.
Yeah.
But it's the relationship they have with each other mainly, and drink is just kind of like a medium through which they sort of access that. It's like this thing where drink gives you like a permission, like a social permission to do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
if you're always drinking, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because that's like an addiction problem. But it's like it's kind of like a cultural ritual or something that allows you access to moments that you otherwise wouldn't have in the same kind of way. It's kind of it's just like talking about the social aspect of it, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way before. Because you know those cunts that just get they have a few drinks and then they get real rowdy.
Yeah.
But it's like oh, the drink has given me the social contract to allow myself to unleash my anger or whatever. And then afterwards, the boys can just be like, or the girls, whatever, can just be like, oh, they were just drunk. And then it's just like passed off as being like, oh, they were drunk. But it's like, no, they tapped into something through the drink, and that's that's an issue there.
Yeah, there's like anyone who gets like that, like, you always know. It's always a certain type of person that does that.
Yeah,
like,
and you know it as well. Like,
yeah. Well, it's the same for everyone. Like, not just rowdy people, or like the way anyone gets when they're drunk. It's always like, it always reflects how they are sober. You know, it's like, it's not like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Yeah, it's just a continuation of who you actually are.
A creepy dude while drunk is gonna be even more blatantly creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it gives them permission, or like they feel they have permission to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Yeah, you know.
Just chill out, bro. Have a few drinks and just have a nice time. Like,
start dancing.
Relax.
You know?
Yeah, just knock on some techno there.
Knock on some techno with the lads. A grad. Like,
yeah.
The last scene is very, very good. It's like, it's a real feel good film that way. I was so thirsty as well. I was like, I'd love a pint.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man. Where did you go see this?
Lighthouse.
When I went to see In the Heights. Me and Isabel, we got a few cocktails, and I tell you, it was pretty steamed in that car. Sitting there, I was sitting there, I was like, this is actually a fucking class film. And I was like, wait, then afterwards, like, I can't even remember. I literally can't remember one song from the musical. Yeah. And it was like a sad moment, and I found it fucking hilarious when it happened. Yeah. And I was like, this is really funny, but it's not meant to be funny. But yeah, like drink again. I've never been drunk going to cinema or drunk in a cinema before. Just like, but that was the tipsy thing. Where it's like, I was a little bit more than tipsy, but just, enjoying the film a bit more.
Exactly, yeah. You know,
no, that sounds really, really good, Mark.
It is good, you know. It's very good.
I have to give it a go soon.
Yeah, have a look at that. They're trying to remake it.
Man, I already heard, isn't it like Leo DiCaprio?
Leo DiCaprio wants to be in it. Man, it's been like, it's not as if it's like this small indie film that no one's ever heard of. It's got Mads Mikkelsen, one of the biggest actors, in Europe at least, if not the world.
Everyone knows who he is.
Yeah, Thomas Vinterberg. He's not like a small fry director. Like, a lot of people know who he is. He's pretty famous.
Man, it's just because Americans are fucking dumb and they don't want to read subtitles.
Yeah. But like, it's not even like, you don't even really need the subtitles as well.
You just need the vibes.
They should have kept like, it's called Another Round, but the actual title is Druk. Like, I think it's Danish for drunk or something like that. They should have kept Druk. Yeah. It's a way better title.
Well, it's the same thing. I watched what the fuck was it called? The film was called Stockholm, but I think the other title for it was called The Outlaw or something. It was an Ethan Hawke film. I only watched it on the weekend. It was alright. It was literally the most fine film ever. But it was about Stockholm Syndrome. About the case that, like, where Stockholm Syndrome came from. And the original title was called Stockholm. But when I looked it up and we were trying to find it, it was called like the Outlaw or whatever. And my mom was saying, oh, they probably called it The Outlaw because in America, like, they were like, what the fuck is Stockholm? Or where the fuck is Stockholm? And they wouldn't go see it.
Yeah, they were like, oh, that's a mad Swedish film or something. Yeah.
Even though it's in English.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, have a look.
Very good. Are they going to remake Parasite? Is that a thing that they're doing?
I don't think they'll do that. That won Best Picture. You can't remake that, like, surely not. You know,
Try it.
have they
did
done
Old,
that before?
They did it with Old Boy.
Did that win Best Picture?
That didn't win Best Picture, but they remade it Old Boy.
It was really big. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would.
I think they would just completely misinterpret it, because I feel like if they were making an American remake,
They wouldn't get it. Yeah,
they would just do the like alcohol is bad.
Oh yeah. Another round will just be like, Leo DiCaprio in his most intense role yet, or he gets really drunk and he's sad. You know, it's just like Iron Man 2. You know,
he
Iron
already
Man
did
3.
that in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Did you ever see that? There's a scene where like he's playing like an alcoholic character or whatever, and he's an actor and he forgets his lines. And then he walks into his trailer and he just like freaking out. He's like, "You're a drunk piece of fucking shit. You're fucking get your act together." And he's like, "God fucking damn, you're so stupid." And then he picks up a drink. Like it cuts and it's just him drinking. He's like, "What am I doing?" and smashing it and stuff like that. It's like it's funny, but it's also really sad. But like I feel like some Hollywood producers or something like saw Once Upon a Time. And then saw that Another Round was massive. He's like, here, like there we go. That's
put them
there's
together.
our Mads Mikkelsen.
Put them together. Because Another Round is really funny as well. Like there's a lot of funny moments in it, but it's still a drama, and it's about life and stuff like that. But it's not like cartoonish or anything. Yeah. Like there is a sequence where they all go on the lash, like they've hit their peak and they're drinking what's it called, Salazar or something like that. It's some like mad cocktail that's like 10 units of alcohol. And they go out on the lash, and like it ends so badly. But it's hilarious the entire way through, because like one of them ends up in bed, or like he crawls up the stairs, and the way he's crawling up the stairs is so funny. He's like leaning on the wall and like crawling up on all fours. But the way it's done is like
been there.
Everyone's been there, And he like gets into bed and he pisses all over his wife and stuff like that. And he falls over as she gets up. And he's just like, the way I don't know if they were drunk when they're filming those scenes, but
I'm pretty sure they were drinking on set.
Oh yeah, they were drinking. They're actually using the hypothesis, like they're drinking the 2 units a day. Yeah, like just after she died, like they said to get over the embarrassment of it. That must be the translation or something, but that's a quote I read.
Oh yeah, because I remember hearing about that, and that like the whole attitude of the film had changed, and that it was like really somber on set, and to like combat that, to make the film not as sad as the director wanted to. He's like, here, just start drinking.
Yeah, they just start drinking. Yeah, but like they
started crying and all on set and stuff like that loads of times.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's sad because like a lot of it's filmed in her school as well. The school sequences are in her school, and some of the students are her classmates.
Jesus,
which is fucked up. But it maintains like a jovial, kind of happy mood the entire way through. And there is that sequence where they're all fucked, and it's like they all eventually make their way home, but they act so well drunk. Like, I don't know how they did that. You know? Like
probably they were a bit drunk.
A lot. Well, but they were fucked. Like they were like on the ground, like one eye like closed, like trying to get it back up into the bed and falling backwards. It's just like this looks like a documentary. Yeah. It was so good.
Mads Mikkelsen is a real family guy as well. I'm pretty sure his kids. He was in like a Rihanna video or something, and he had no idea who Rihanna was. Yeah. But his kids really liked Rihanna, and they're like, "Oh, like Rihanna." He just did a Rihanna video with her because his kids really liked Rihanna.
He's a king, man.
I really like it when actors do that.
Do what?
Like they take a role because their kids really liked it. Jim Carrey was in Sonic because his daughter or something was a huge Sonic fan.
Yeah.
And Raul Julia.
Right.
Raul Julia. He's a guy in Addams Family, but he only took that role because his kids really like Street Fighter. And he died shortly after that. It was his last role, and he did it because his kids really liked the film, or really liked Street Fighter.
Yeah, the family man.
And he got paid bank for being in it.
That's what he did, yeah.
And he gave it his all as well. He's amazing in it. But yeah, it's good when actors do that.
Yeah, kings.
Kings. Just want,
some of them are just kings.
Just take good roles,
Yeah, just don't take bad roles.
Yeah, just take fun roles.
Yeah.
Like, I make nice movies. Don't make movies like I Stand Alone.
Oh, I Stand Alone. What's this about?
Gasper Noe.
I've stopped listening.
His first film. Hello, just want to give two little notes about the following conversation. First of all, content warning. We will be talking about sexual assault and rape in this conversation about I Stand Alone. So if you want to skip that, there is timestamps in the description. Secondly, I just want to apologize. I keep referring to the sexual assault as him having sex with her. Not the right terminology at all, and it's actually annoying me. listening back to it. So I apologize for that. I should have used a different wording. But yeah, if you want to skip this conversation, the timestamps are in the description.
His first ever film, 1990 something.
1997 or 2001 maybe? I can't remember when. No, wait, because yeah, I think it is 97 or 98. It's his first feature length because he had a film beforehand called like Cameo or something like that. It's a short film, and it has the same character and same actor in the short. But the start of I Stand Alone, like basically like runs through the plot of the short film, so you don't need to have seen it. It's about this guy who had this like really fucked up childhood or whatever, and he was a butcher, and we only know him as the butcher. He has no name, and he has a kid, and his kid, or the wife fucks off when he has the kid and stuff like that, and so he's taking care of his daughter by himself, and he's just like, one line, it's like, I had to resist the urge to have sex with her and stuff like that.
His daughter?
Yeah, with his own daughter, and he's like,
Gasper Noe.
But the daughter she has like some disability or whatever. She's like mute and she's not able to communicate with people. So he's like, nice.
What?
Anyway, and then there's a bit where he's talking. This is a very start of the film, so like it's not really spoiling anything. Where she has her first period and she doesn't know what's going on, so she goes off to her dad who's working, and some guy was like following her or being like creepy to her, and then she comes up to her dad, and her dad goes off and he like stabs him in the face or something because he thinks that the guy molested her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But anyway, this is him after his stint in prison, and he's thrown his daughter into like a hospital somewhere, and he's fucked off and he's having a life somewhere else. But like, it's just this character that is like just the most like depressed, whiny, moany cunt ever. Like, he's a piece of shit. He's completely unlikable. He's going around walking around like saying like, oh, these fucking pigs like ruin our lives, whatever. And he's making some good points about like poverty and stuff like that. It's like the pigs on top take our money or whatever and stuff like that. But then he's just like self-hating and then hating the world, and like the entire like bit of the film, because Gasper Noe does his bits, Irreversibles, shot on reverse, Enter the Void is like, floating around camera as if you're dead. This film is just like monologue. Like, it's just internal monologues constantly from this guy, and talking about people around him, and talking about like how he's going to fuck up people and stuff like that. It's basically like if Taxi Driver had like a constant, Taxi Driver does have a monologues and stuff like that.
Yeah, like an inner monologue. Like,
imagine if that was constantly throughout the film.
Yeah.
And he was even like more of a like scumbag, because like in the first like 10, 15, 20 minutes in this film, the girl that he's with, he's like he's sexist, he's racist, he's homophobic, he's fucking everything, right? And he comes home from like drinking somewhere, and he's like poor as shit, whatever, and she's like, where the fuck were you? And he's like, oh, I walked this girl home, whatever, and then I went drinking. And she's like, oh yeah, did you fuck her? And so he punches her in the face, and she's pregnant, and he repeatedly kicks her in the stomach and punches her in the stomach.
Why does he do that in all, like, he doesn't do that in all his films, but Climax.
Yeah, man, he just does something, like, he just makes, like,
he's trying to wind people up.
He's just trying to, like, provoke an emotion out of you, right?
That's fucked up.
And, like, I watched Annabelle, a while ago, and I have a problem with Annabelle, and that is that like
Annabelle, the Conjuring
Annabelle, right?
All right.
Because, and it's the same thing in this kind of film or whatever, where like it's really, really easy to cause tension or like make something disturbing if you just cause violence against a pregnant woman.
Yeah, obviously.
And Annabelle does that. Like, it's super cheap. In the first like 30 minutes of Annabelle, you're just watching like this like pregnant woman like be in danger, and she has no character whatsoever. It's only the simple fact that she's pregnant that you don't want anything to happen to her.
Yeah.
And similar thing here, where this woman isn't a character or whatever, but the only reason that you feel fucking bad for her is because she gets her baby murdered inside of her. And like, then you're just like, this guy's a complete fucking scumbag, who also is like a pedophile and incestual because he wants to have sex with his daughter. And
he's not having a good time.
He's just the worst. And you're stuck with him throughout the entire way through the film.
Yeah.
And like, it's it's boring because it's just constant monologues from this guy talking about.
What's it about?
It's literally about just this character going about.
It's like GTA sandbox.
He's just floating about after he kills, like, he fucking batters her. He like takes a gun and he goes off back to Paris to like try and find a job, or whatever. And he's just floating around, and it's just like he can't find a job anywhere because it's the 70s, I think, and it's about like the economic crisis that was going on in France and how he can't get a job and how he's just floating about. And it's like, well, it's kind of about poverty, but then it's like the lens of that you're looking at poverty is through this really fucked up evil character. And then he just floats about, and then he just like at one stage he goes into a bar and he starts drinking, and he's like no more money left. The bar man is just like, oh, it's like $5.50 whatever, and he's just like, I got $5.25, and the fella beside him like laughs at him whatever, and then he just like turns to him and is like, what are you laughing at? And the guy just ignores him, and then he just like hurls like slurs at him, and then the barman is like, what the fuck did you say to my son? And he's just like, then the guy starts on him, and then the barman shows him off and pulls out a gun and like tells him to get the fuck out. And then you're just like, oh, you're like, this is just like a pathetic, like weak man, like with this like real toxic masculinity, where he feels like everything
radioactive masculinity.
He's just like lashing out at the world because everything's shit, but it's like, it's your fault that you got into these situations because you're a dickhead. But it's also you're also an environment, you're also a product of the environment that you came from, and it's just like, I don't know what the fuck he's going for in this film.
Yeah, this guy's just standing alone, you could say. He
stands alone. And then he goes off and he gets his daughter, and I knew what the end of this film was because the character is at the start of Irreversible. And he's like,
oh wait, is this the guy in the nightclub?
No, he's like at the start of Irreversible. It's just like this separate room, and I'd never seen I Stand Alone. I didn't know who the fuck this character was, and he's just like talking to this guy about like, it's about like like the film is basically about like morality, because there's constant like conversations about morality and, you know, doing right and wrong or whatever, or like, is this character in the wrong? And like, yeah, he obviously is. But I was reading a letterbox, and the person was like, oh yeah, this is like a real piece of shit character, and I understood what the film was going for. However, I read an interview of Gasper Noe saying how you're actually meant to feel empathy for this character because he's a human being. And it's just like, oh, Gasper, that's not how it works.
Man, what? This guy's he's not a nice guy. Doesn't sound like, anyway.
And then, so he gets his daughter, and I knew that this was going to happen because I'd seen Irreversible.
Wait, what?
And he has sex with his daughter. But like, there's a moment where, so he takes his daughter.
Wait, what age is she?
She's like 17, 16, 17, maybe
That's
18.
fucked.
I don't know. Her age isn't very clear.
That doesn't really matter.
I didn't know, right? Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know how old like she would be if she got her. I don't know. She's probably like, let's just say 15, 16. Because if she, I don't know. Because it's like,
fucked up by the way.
Regardless, he had sex with his daughter.
Yeah,
who's like, who can't
do that.
Who's like who's like, you know, she's mute and she's like completely passive. She's like, you know, she's not okay. She needs care, and he abuses her. But like the way that the film, like, the sequence is happening, right, and he has sex with her, and then he like takes out his gun and he kills her, and then like it's this thing where like he's like freaking out because people are knocking on the door and he's freaking out. He's like, oh my god, they're like, I'm gonna fucking kill everyone. I'm gonna kill myself and stuff like that. And you're just like, just fucking do it. Just kill yourself. Just get this fucking film over with and kill yourself. But then it cuts, and that what we've seen didn't actually happen. And he's sitting there on the bed and he just starts crying. And she comes over to him and he hugs her and he's like crying. And you're like, right, here's the cathartic moment. Here we go. And I was like, this is a perfect ending. This is the way the film should end. It's like all this stuff, like he's like finally connected with someone. But then it cuts, and then she's standing by the window, and he comes up behind her and he just grabs her breast, and then the film like pans away, and you know that he has sex with her because in the start of Irreversible he says that he had sex with her, and the film ends, and it's like, it's a character study of this character, and it's about morality or whatever. But like, you're just forced for an hour and a half being with this character who you hate, who you fucking despise, and just listening to him moan and bitch about all this different shit that went wrong in his life, and him lashing out at the world, and it's like just not interesting. It's such a bad first film, and it's weird because Gasper Noe would do interesting things later on through his edgelord shit. But it's like, it doesn't do anything interesting, and it's like stylistically not interesting, and it's like just monologue after monologue after monologue constantly about the same thing. And every time there's a cut, it does a gunshot.
Yeah.
And it's really like irritating. Like everything about this film annoyed me.
It doesn't sound very pleasant, you know.
Oh, it's like the most unpleasant watch.
Yeah. How did he got big off this though?
People love this film.
Why?
I have no idea.
The French, man.
Man, even like I looked at Letterboxd and someone's like raving about this film. I was like, every point that you're saying is a negative for me.
Yeah. Everything you're saying is wrong.
This is a shit film.
Yeah.
The only good thing is that it's 90 minutes or it's 82 minutes, but it feels like it's 3 hours.
That's alright. 82 minutes. You know.
It's not a vibe.
It's not. That doesn't sound like a vibe at all. You know.
And I like Gasper Noe films.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, surely you like.
I thought I would like this, and I wasn't like, this is shit. Like, this is not good.
Jeez, that man needs help.
And it's like at the start as well. It's like you beat like Gasper, you blew your load too quick. You had a pregnant woman being beaten, and like she is gonna have a fucking stillborn or whatever, and it's just like like that's already like so horrific. Like how. Like, what are you gonna do next? And then it's like, oh well, he's gonna fucking have sex with his, daughter who's like, disabled. And it's like, okay, great, way to go, Gasper.
Whoa.
Oh God.
Yeah, Gasper's the kind of guy, in the corner of the classroom showing fucking beheading videos.
Yo, yeah, he is.
See that, lads? Everyone's like, you're fucking weird, or like bestiality videos.
Yeah, he's just like, check this out.
It's like. No one's mates with him.
No one's mates with him. He's the kid that got picked on in class.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
He just wants attention.
He does.
And it works. It worked so well. But yeah, I still haven't seen Irreversible or any of them.
Watch Enter the Void.
Enter the Void.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it comes in the camera.
Yeah, there's a lot of incest.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Climax though.
Yeah.
I
think
Climax. Is this like what's the aesthetic kind of level?
Standard, like just.
It's not.
It's like a pretty averagely shot film.
All right. Yeah.
And it's kind of like this like orange tint to it because it's like shot in film, kind of.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
because Climax is so like well shot.
Yeah.
Very beautiful film.
Enter the Void is like that. Enter the Void is really beautiful, but there's like a lot of incest in it.
Yeah, I have to watch it though.
But yeah, there's like every one of his films, there's like just a caveat as to like this film has this shocking thing in it. This film has this shocking thing in it. Like that's kind of his thing.
That's his gimmick.
But that's his French extremity.
That's his brand, man. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
French.
It's like exploitation.
Yeah. You sort of have to appreciate it, At least they're trying something different.
Yeah.
At least it's not American stuff.
Yeah.
Or even the Danish, like another round, like another way, like continental films. A lot of them are like dramedies, like a lot like Amelie and shit like that. Like French films.
I've never seen Amelie.
Like fucking, like what was that one about the guy in the wheelchair and the black guy? Like stuff like that.
The Untouchables.
Les Intouchables. Yeah. Like where it's dramatic, but it's also funny.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In a way, but like they're all like that.
Dramedy.
A dramedy. Yeah. Like the Americans like have them, but they're terrible.
They're so bad.
And like they know they're bad, so like they don't even get nominated. Like Oscar films, like prestige films in America, they're all like just pure drama films. Whereas like continental films have like this kind of weird, like whimsical sense about them, which like. Another round had, but like I found a much more like satisfying kind of way than something like Les Intouchables, where it had like there's like a depth to it, or there's like a weight to it, There's like it felt like things mattered, whereas a lot of times it gets kind of lost and like it's like, oh, this is just a little tale that we're telling,
I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like just I Stand Alone. It's like you're just watching a racist going around.
Yeah.
You're just stuck in a room with a racist for an hour and a half, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the quest goes on to find the meaning. What's he trying to say? What's he trying to tell us?
I don't know. Each one of his films are about something, and something interesting. Some of the times, Jesus, like Enter the Void is cool because it's all true. Like, Man, I can't believe, right? We've talked about Enter the Void on this podcast, but it was lost because the file got corrupted.
Was it?
That was that episode.
So we've never talked about it.
I never talked about Enter the Void on this podcast, and I never got to tell my story about watching Enter the Void.
Oh,
and now's the perfect time to tell it. I watched Enter the Void at the start of the year. Enough.
Christmas.
Whatever the last
it was
episode.
Just before we got coronavirus.
The last episode, whatever episode that was, that was
when
I talked about it. That was the bit that we lost.
Oh.
But I watched it with my mom and my dad and my sister, and I had heard. I was like, okay, Enter the Void. I'm pretty sure that's like a pretty okay Gasper Noe film. I'm pretty sure that's a good entry point. Like, I'm not gonna show them climax. My sister already seen climax and she really liked it. And I was like, oh, we'll just watch Enter the Void. I'm not going to show you Irreversible, obviously. So let's watch this. And I'm like, I'm not going to show you Love either, because I know that's just a film that has like unsimulated sex constantly in it. So obviously not. So Enter the Void. Let's watch that. And we were watching it. And my mom and my sister and all, we were enjoying it. And then I didn't realize that this was the incest film.
Yeah, the incest film.
The incest film.
In Gasper Noe's filmography, bad sign. Bad sign.
There's a lot. And, like, it was uncomfortable. It was a lot. I was sweating constantly throughout this entire fucking film. And then it's, like, nearly over. And it's like, okay, it's ending now. Thank God. And then the character is, like, watching his sister have sex with someone. And then the camera slowly, like, spoilers for Enter the Void, not that it really matters, but spoilers. The camera pans into the sister's stomach, and it's like, oh, that's it, it's over. He's gonna be reborn as his sister's kid or whatever. But then a red tunnel appears.
Oh.
And we're just like, I was like, what the fuck is that? And my family, like my mom and my sister, my dad had left at this stage. My mom and my sister were like, what is that? And then a giant CGI dick just comes flying on screen. And my mom and my sister starts screaming, and then it comes into the camera.
Oh,
and we're like, no! I was like, oh no! I can't believe, like, fucking The Handmaiden was already bad enough, but Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
And like when it happened, I was like, oh my God! I thought, like, because I've heard that there's a cum shot in Gasper Noe film, but I thought it was, Love. I thought that was the film, because if you're gonna do a cum shot, you might as well do it in that film. I was like, no.
Is that what you said?
I was like, no, on my knees, no.
Just bucket in sweat.
I was like, I can't believe this. That was a lot. Mom and my sister really enjoyed the film and all, but
unnecessary stuff from Gasper.
Oh my God,
completely unnecessary.
Me and Gasper, we have a relationship now.
Yeah, geez, this guy he owes us an interview or something.
I've never actually seen any interviews with him. I've just seen his Criterion Closet.
Yeah,
that's it.
I seen him walking around like Memphis with Harmony Korine and like some extras. I think it was like an extras footage for Gummo or something.
He pulled up. I don't know if any of Harmony Korine's films are on the in the Criterion collection, but he pulled up one film and he's like, oh, Harmony Korine has something. It was something like that. He mentioned Harmony Korine and he's like, I need to get this because he loves Harmony Korine.
Yeah,
seemingly a lot of people do.
Yeah, he's cool, man.
Yeah,
family friendly as well.
He is. Go watch Gummo with anyone.
You actually can, yeah.
Yeah, you could, yeah. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Some people just find it really like
it's like, oh, that kid's so ugly.
Yeah. That kid's just a freak. Look at his weird head.
Yeah.
Need to mold it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Gasper,
chill out, bro.
Chill out, bro. I stand alone, go fuck itself.
Yeah, you can stay standing alone.
Yeah. Stand in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We go for a quick break.
Aye.
Oy vey.
Oy gavolt. Yeah, I also watched The Omen.
The Omen?
Ever watched The Omen?
I have not.
I watched it the other day. 1976. I watched it in honor of Richard Donner, who sadly passed away earlier this week. He was the guy who directed Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeves. And a few other films. Kind of a legendary director.
A legend,
yeah. He also directed The Omen, which is from 1976. Like one of the iconic horror films of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows The Omen. Little Damien and all that stuff. It's like one of those things that's passed into pop culture, the canon, you know? Like everyone knows it.
A horror icon.
a horror icon, you know. And this is the 70s. This was the whole, you know, you had The Exorcist in 73, and you have like all these different films.
Our favorite period of horror.
Yeah,
70s.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with The Omen, yeah, because The Omen is obviously about this kid, Damien, who is actually the child of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Satan, the man himself, the anti-god. And it follows Gregory Peck is in this. It follows him. He's the ambassador to, he's the US ambassador to the UK.
Yeah.
And he can't conceive a child with his wife, so he makes a pact with Satan. No, wait, I completely fucked that up. Alright, so Gregory Peck's character, Robert, he can't conceive a child with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he adopts a child from Italy or something like that. Little does he know that Satan has somehow conspired to replace the child that he's supposed to get with some kind of demon, you know, who is basically the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Who is the Antichrist? That's the whole point of the film. But yeah, the whole thing is he has this adopted son, and things start going really wrong. You know,
he starts murdering people, doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't outright murder anyone. There is a deleted scene where he basically murders, I think, the nanny or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's more like all these weird things start happening all of a sudden, and things are just off, just really off. And there's like this really like sort of oppressive atmosphere to the entire film, and like everything's kind of dark. There's all these like blacks and whites and greys and stuff like that. But it starts with like this one scene where Damien's nanny is confronted by this weird kind of like unseen force, which is kind of represented by a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
Who appears at Damien's 5th birthday party. It's at like a manor in London or something. And this Rottweiler appears out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's standing on the roof, and she calls down to Damien. She's like, Damien, I love you. I will die for you. And she jumps off and hangs herself, and like crashes through like the window below. And like everyone's like, oh my god, what the fuck? But like things start to, you know, get even weirder.
Mm-hmm.
And as
somehow,
yeah, it's like, what the fuck is that about? You know, out of nowhere, some other woman shows up, Miss Baylock, and she's like, I'll be your nanny. And Robert and his wife Catherine, they're like, who the fuck are you, pretty much?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm from the agency. And they're like, oh, we'll call. She's like, no, I have references here. It's okay.
Yeah.
And they're just like, all right, yeah, fair. You know, you're the nanny to the child of the US ambassador to the UK. You know, it's all right. It's only, it was a different time, you know.
Yeah.
These days you'd have all this bureaucracy, you know, all these checks, you know. She was fine. But it turns out she's an agent of Satan, basically. She's a demon. Who's basically, her and the Rottweiler are basically like, you know, I don't know, they'd be like fucking Beelzebub or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, demons. They're kind of the midwives of the Antichrist. They're making sure that Damien stays safe, and that he sort of, you know, grows up, and he isn't killed. That no one realizes what he is. And over time, Catherine, the mother, begins to realize that the child isn't hers. Yeah. And that something's terribly wrong. And she like grows apart from Damien. She gets fucked up as well. She ends up. Did you ever see that scene?
I have heard about it a few times.
Yeah, she falls off like a balcony or something. It's like shot for shot in the remake as well. The remake is apparently fucking terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, but yeah, things start getting really freaky, and Damien's just like, he's the Antichrist basically. But the thing is, it's the cultural context is important here for the film, because the film is it's an interesting phenomenon, because it's part of that whole 70s canon of horror film, where like we talk about stuff like Texas Chainsaw, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's like an Aquarian take on like the aftermath of the 60s. Yeah, it's like the sort of the wreckage of the dream of the 60s. Yeah, or this is like, you know, the 60s is forgotten about. The 60s is where things kind of went wrong. This is more kind of like along the lines of like closer to Halloween. It's like a very conservative kind of thing. Yeah, because this is in the aftermath of like, you know, the oil crisis and all that. And like you have like I think it's mentioned in the film, there's like a Financial Times headline from 1973, the future is on hold or something like that, or the future is delayed. Just talking about how like you had this 30-year period of prosperity from 1945 up till around the mid 70s, where things were just constantly, it was a 30-year boom where people just assumed that things are going to stay the same, things are always going to be great, and then all of a sudden you have this massive sort of body check in the 70s.
Body check.
This massive economic, cultural body check against the West in the 70s, where suddenly they're all playing up to like the Saudis, like all these like sort of, you know, lesser states out in the Middle East because of the oil embargo. And for like a moment, it seems like things are sort of shifting towards, you know, the others, you know, like the Soviets.
Oh shit, the other, yeah,
the other guys are trying to are sort of getting their way in there. And this film is sort of set in that kind of mindset, that kind of like space, that sort of psychological space.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a huge thing about religion as well. Because at the same time, during that period, you have a lot of things going on with you have like a return to mysticism. Like the 60s, you have like free love, flower power, oh, we're all one, man, and all that stuff. In the 70s, you have this kind of, it's like a return to it's like a millenarian kind of philosophy where it's like the end times are near, like things have gone wrong, this isn't right, and the future is like fucked. It's bleak. And that's the whole thing with Damien. Like he's like, it's significant that he's the son of the ambassador to the UK. And
isn't it that he's being groomed to become the president of America as well?
Yeah, that's later on. Yeah, because the final scene is him holding hands and like with the president of the United States, and he turns around and looks directly at the camera and starts smiling. Because that's the thing. That's the prophecy. There's a prophecy in the film. It's when the Jews return to Zion and a comet fills the sky and the Holy Roman Empire rises, then you and I must die. From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother till man exists no more. Which in the film they say that's about politics. Yeah, it's about you know, the Jews returning to Israel, the Roman Empire rising and stuff like that. And then you have the thing about man turning man against his brother, which they say is like a metaphor for politics. Apparently that's a direct quote from Revelations or something like that, but it's not. I think they just made it up.
Yeah.
but that was a thing in the 70s where they're like, here, look at this like random verse in the Bible in this random translation.
That's pure predicting things right now.
Yeah,
bro.
It's like, man, like all
it's
that
like The Simpsons.
all that Nostradamus. Yeah, it's like, man, The Simpsons predicted Trump. You know, no, they didn't. It's like the same thing in the 70s where it's like it's just people reading into like all this random shit from like thousands of years ago, and they're like, oh, this is what's gonna happen, and like the apocalypse is in like 29 days or whatever, you know. But a lot of it is just like people losing grip with what was going on with reality, and like trying to find answers in anything they could like look for.
It's like trying to make sense of like the chaos that they're living in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they look like, oh, it's in the stars, or it's God, or whatever.
Yeah. When Americans are mad about that, you know. Yeah. I remember back in the day, I used to watch National Geographic all the time, and like up until the late 2000s, they used to show, like documentaries about the apocalypse.
Oh yeah! Oh my god!
But they present it as absolute fact.
Yeah, man.
Like this is gonna happen.
It's the same thing as like the alien abduction stuff and like all that shit. Like Discovery used to be mad for that stuff. Yeah,
and they'd be like, "Oh, the Dead Sea Scrolls says this."
The Mayans and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's another part of it that might exist, which might say this.
Yeah,
and that means that the world is gonna end and that the heathens will be like returned to hell and the rapture will happen.
Yeah,
I remember watching that. I was like, "Wow, I can't believe that's gonna happen." You know, like this is crazy. But they used to show that on National Geographic.
And present it as like fact.
Present like nothing about like, oh, this is what people believe for some reason. It's like this is, you know, like there's no like mitigation about it.
Because the people that were making the shows believed it.
Yeah, it's like an American thing, like evangelism or something like that. Because you had even in the 80s, you have all those like televangelists and stuff coming out, and basically preying on people who were fucked and people who were poor, which is the whole thing where you have like this middle class which has been built up after the war, which suddenly sees like a very sudden decline. Not even a decline, more like sort of like a slow down, like a deceleration, which makes them, which is what happened in Germany pretty much as well.
That's what I was saying,
before the war.
That's what I was just thinking there. Like say we're at the tail end now of like the American Empire and stuff like that, or like the British Empire is now faded as well. Do you think like the Romans, like when the Roman Empire was collapsing, that they were thinking the same thing, that they were reading into prophecies and stuff like that, and like, oh shit, look, this is what's gonna happen, the end of the world, not thinking like some other society or some other culture is gonna take us over and the world will just keep going. It's like this like self grandiose kind of mindset where like, oh, if we don't exist, therefore there can't be anything else. Yeah,
maybe. Like obviously, like the Roman Empire is like the start. Or it's like our conception of the start, basically, of like Western civilization. Like most modern countries are based off in some kind of indirect way, like what that was. You know, like America is hugely influenced by that. France, even Ireland, like via France, stuff like that, like the Republic, the whole notion of a republic. But it's also tied into like Christianity, because Christ obviously was born and lived and died underneath the rule of the Romans. But like Christianity didn't become like a big thing until quite like after he died.
Yeah.
Like when Rome was like, I don't know much about Roman history, but it was like towards the end. Like I think Rome ended in like 350 or between 350 and 450.
Yeah.
So like when Christianity would have been like, you know, coming up properly. So
coming up.
You know, proper like, you know, on the way up. But so maybe that's what they would have thought, like, oh, like Jesus will come back, he'll save us or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the Bible says so, like maybe that's what they clung on to. I don't know if they had any prophecies or anything. They probably did, you know.
When we were looking at Painlevé Fen, just fucking came into my mind there. Just want to discuss it for a second. You know, remember the whole thing about Mohicanism in Painlevé Fen?
Yeah.
Like that religion is like gone now, but like that was at one stage like all the Islamic countries were Mohicanists or whatever. Whatever you pronounce it. Yeah. So like the idea in like Painlevé Fen just comes up repeatedly because Painlevé Fen's amazing, and you can just whack it into all these different contexts or whatever. But the idea of like an alternative history where Mohicanism kept going, like what does that look like? I wonder if there was stuff like that where like, you know, when Islam was on the rise in the East, they were just like, look, the Mohicanists were like, oh shit, look at this, look at the scriptures that we have. Oh, it's the end of the world because there's other cultures coming in.
Yeah. They definitely thought that, you know.
Probably the same thing in Rome and stuff like that as well. They had the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when you were saying about Damien, my mind immediately snapped to the idea of like the other, especially because of the 70s, like the other has come and influenced our youth and have taken over our youth, and these people will become our leaders. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like he's the son of this high-ranking U.S. official. Like he is the son of that generation. Like this, like our children will be our downfall. Yeah, basically. Like we have created a monster. Like he's our own creation. Like Damien in the film, he's 5 years old. He'd be 50 years old this year. Yeah, which is kind of cool. Like he'd be like of age or whatever. Like,
yeah, he would be president.
He'd be bouncing around. He'd be like a fucking, you know, he'd be running for mayor and stuff in fucking, I don't know, some random American city, like working his way up to president, if he was a real guy, you know. But like he's in the film, he's 5 years old, and he has no agency. It's not like he's evil and he's like making these things happen. And he's like, it's not like the Twilight Zone episode where he's like using his mind to make people burst into flames or whatever. He's just a kid. Like there are scenes, like they go to the zoo in one scene, like the giraffes run away from him, and their car gets attacked by baboons, which is pretty funny.
Fuck that.
Apparently that was like an authentic reaction as well from the actors. I don't think they told them that
that'd be powerful.
They were sending them in.
Getting attacked by baboons.
Yeah.
With that.
Baboons, yeah, they're scary fuckers.
They are scary fuckers.
But and there's another, obviously has the Rottweiler sort of like looking after him, and there's another scene where they're bringing him to like a funeral or a wedding or something. And as soon as he gets within sight of like the steeple on the church, he starts fucking freaking out. But as a character, he has no agency whatsoever. Like he's not an active participant in the story. Yeah. He's just a conduit. Like he's just like sort of the medium through which these like satanic forces are like swirling around. You know, like he's something that's inevitable because he's not human. You know? Like he's not. He's like an object. He's an icon of something else. He represents something a lot bigger, which I think is like really, really cool in terms of how it tied into the cultural kind of reading of it. Because he isn't the villain in the same way that you'd say like even Leatherface maybe is a villain. Yeah. Or I don't know, the demons in The Exorcist and stuff like that. Like he's just there, but these weird things are happening around him, and everyone's like reacting to them, and they're like, it's this kid. Yeah. But they don't know how to deal with it, and eventually Gregory Peck's character Robert, he's warned by an Irish guy, Father Brennan. He's like, oh Gregory Peck, yo, he's the devil, he's the child of the devil. You know. And he's like, he's the devil's spawn, he's the spawn of the devil. He's like a Catholic priest, and he's saying to Robert, he's like, like you have to kill your son because he is the devil, and all these bad things are happening. Obviously originally Robert's like, that's a lot of bollocks, and you probably never talk to me again. But then things keep happening, and he's like, oh, this guy was actually correct. It turns out the there's actually a really cool scene where the priest gets the priest dies basically. He's in a graveyard and the church steeple falls off and like impales him.
Yeah,
Like-
it's like that bit in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's like way more gruesome.
Yeah.
That was the thing as well. When it was first pitched, it was pitched as like a psychological horror.
Yeah. You can see why, yeah.
Yeah, like the whole thing was Damien's kind of his like satanic kind of vibe or whatever. It wasn't going to be. It was going to be very ambiguous. So like it wasn't going to be obvious that
It's
he,
going to, yeah, very literal.
that he was the Antichrist, and that's what Richard Donner and Gregory Peck wanted to go with. But the writers and I think the studio were like, oh no, that this whole satanic horror kind of trip is pretty trendy at the moment.
Booming.
Yeah, so they went with like a straight out satanic occult horror film, supernatural horror film. But at the same time, it's not like gratuitous. Like there's not loads of blood. There's not like demons really in it. It's just weird things happen, and you're like, oh, that's fucking weird. You know, that's creepy. It still worked out in the end. Like Gregory Peck was like worried about it apparently in production, but then he saw the final cut and he was like, oh, this works as a standalone film in itself, aside from the fact that it's a horror film.
Yeah. What you want.
Which is what you want, you know, and those kinds of things. But yeah, it's a very you know, it's like the zeitgeist. It captures the zeitgeist very well.
Yeah. 70s horror is just amazing for that because they captured that type of stuff, and you can like look back on it now and be like, oh, it's talking about this, and that influenced us now because the 70s is a very important time. I like horror. I think 70s horror is my favorite period of horror, maybe.
Yeah, a horrifying time, you know.
Yeah,
there's not
fucking scary time.
There's not enough horror right now that reflects what's actually going on, you know.
No, not really.
Sometimes I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That sort of captures.
Or maybe it does,
the
but
zeitgeist.
we're not seeing it.
Yeah, maybe we're just like, we can't see it right now. Maybe we'll see it in a few years.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, like, you know, like fucking German expressions, and we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's why that happened, or like that pointed to this happening.
Yeah, we always talk about that idea. Like there definitely is films now that like we're watching it now and like, oh, that was really scary. But then if you look back on it, you're like, oh shit, that's like talking about this like fear that we had, or that like society or culture had, that like was revealing itself within our films. But you can't see that without hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
hindsight is always king.
Yeah, and there's the religious element is pretty key there as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make as much. It's not as impactful nowadays, but there's like a big scene where they go. Him and some other guy go off back to Italy where he originally adopted the kid.
Yeah.
And they like dig up the grave of the mother, and they open the coffin, and the mother isn't there. It's like a jackal, like a whatever the fuck a jackal is. It's in it's in the box.
That's fucked up.
It turns out the jackal is like some fucking messenger of Satan, who consumed the actual child, and then like mated with the fucking raped the actual mother.
Yeah.
And produced this like Satan spawn kind of thing. So Gregory Peck's like, oh, I have to kill this kid. And he goes back and he tries to kill Damien on the steps of the church, and there's like a big car chase scene. But it's very it's a good film.
Yeah,
it's very good. It's very good.
It's a classic for a reason.
It's a classic for a reason, yeah. It was a cursed film as well. There was a series of everyone knows about certain films that are like weird things happen surrounding them. Oh, The Omen's like a really, sort of notable example, I think. I didn't really know about the whole curse until I read up about it, but apparently a lot of people know about it. Apparently when Gregory Peck was going over to I think to film it, his plane was struck by lightning.
Oh, I have heard about this.
Yeah. But that was a plane that he gotten after cancelling a previous flight, and the previous flight was booked by the studio for the actors but wasn't used. That flight crashed and killed everyone on board.
Yeah.
And then Gregory Peck got the one, and he got hit by lightning. And then the rider, Seltzer, is his second name. He got a flight over as well, and his flight got struck by lightning as well. And then there's the producer, one of the producers of the film. He was in the area or whatever, in England at the time, and him and his wife checked out of a hotel, and like hours later, the Brighton hotel bombing happened or something like that. It was one of those, like the IRA around, and they're bombing hotels and stuff like that, just bombing random places in England, and like they just missed it. Just things like that happen, weird things that just didn't make sense. Like the Rottweiler on set apparently was like rabid and stuff like that. Like it was like, attacking people at random. So it's just weird coincidences that just like on their own it'd be just like, oh, that's pretty funny, but apparently they all happened at pretty
Around
much in the same time. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so weird. Yeah,
Which is creepy.
like because Poltergeist is kind of like that. I know that the little girl died
Yeah, actually,
in
yeah.
Poltergeist
I heard
because
that,
they
yeah.
say because they used real skeletons.
Did they?
Yeah, in Poltergeist they used real skeletons. That's the reason people say that it's cursed.
Yeah.
Like half the cast died like 5 years afterwards, something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty sad though.
Yeah. That's the thing though. Like it was a superstitious time.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear any of that really from
Oh no, you
from
don't-
films in the 50s, the 60s. You don't hear that from even like the continent.
No,
Or like in China or like Japan or like
no, it's just
other
American
cinemas.
films that are
It's all-
superstitious.
It's all American cinema
Superstitious.
around that time. Like
Yeah.
even the guy who pitched the Omen was an evangelist. The executive who pitched it, he was a mad Christian, and he pitched
Mm.
the film, but he was like, "This is going to come at a cost."
Yeah.
Like apparently he said that, you know, like apparently
Fuck outta
he was
here.
like, "Guys, when it wrapped, he was like, guys, like watch out," and like everyone's like, "Oh, he was right." But at the end, like when you think about it, you know, everyone's paro about bad things happening. You start to connect the dots.
Yeah, it's
And sometimes things happen because you're worried about them. You
it's
know.
the conspiracy theory thing. Is like if you just connect the dots, you can make anything the truth.
Ah, exactly. Yeah,
You
but
know?
it sort of captures the paranoia of the times.
Paro times,
Power times indeed.
very paro times. Yeah, yeah, because you don't get that from any other period, as you said. Like you don't hear
Yeah.
any like, oh fucking any film from the 2000s was cursed or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird. But what else did I watch? I watched Leatherface. Finally
Leatherface
finished off the Texas Chainsaw franchise with the 2017 film Leatherface, which is the most recent one until the one that comes out eventually. I don't even know that film's. I doubt. I have a feeling that Texas Chainsaw film isn't coming out this year.
Ah, sure. Who knows?
I said it'll be 2022, but yeah, this one is directed by two French extremity directors. Cannot remember their names at all, but they directed the film Inside, which is another point. Sorry, that's what I was also thinking about as well. That so Inside is a French extremity film about a woman that wants to take another woman's baby, but that woman is pregnant, so she wants to open her up and take the baby out.
Ugh,
So that's what that film's about. Again,
it's fucked up.
exploitation. However, the fact that it's inherently easy to make tension over something like that.
Yeah.
But
Oh man, your one from 8th grade is in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You wanna hear?
she's well, yeah, that's someone. Who else is in it? Is that it?
She was in The Walking Dead.
The director did something as well, didn't he?
David Blue Garcia.
He did something. I think he did the new Evil Dead film, the latest one, not the newest one that's coming out. The gory one.
I don't know.
I think he did. I think I heard that.
You may have.
So one of the things that's interesting about this film is the fact that it is two French extremity directors, and like how French extremity, Gasper Noe is from that ilk as well, was like influenced by like Marquis de Sade and stuff like that, which we talked about before, but also by like American slasher films like Texas Chainsaw, and how people looked back on Texas Chainsaw being like, that's a really fucked up, bloody, disturbing film. But as we mentioned before multiple times, it's really not. It's not like a gory film at all. And it's like the idea. This is the film where like the idea of Texas Chainsaw is more encapsulated and turned into an actual physical thing.
Alright.
But in doing so, it's not a Texas Chainsaw film at all. Like there's no. I think there's a dinner table scene at the start of the film, and then that never happens again. And it only happens when like Leatherface is a kid, and his family. It's just kind of shit because like the whole point of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that it's like this de-evolution of these characters and like all this type of stuff, and like the family in Texas Chainsaw Massacre don't have a mom, and like it's all this dysfunctional family type of stuff. But there's a mom in this one, and she's the aunt. Okay, so this is the timeline shit that I hate about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
But this film is a prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the timeline of this one is where Texas Chainsaw 3D is the actual sequel. So remember we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, and I was saying like, oh, there's like this rich family that like some reason had this massive house and they were related to the Sawyers, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We now see where that came from.
Is this actually a sequel to Texas Chainsaw 3D?
This is the prequel to it, yeah.
This is a prequel to it?
Yes.
Oh.
So like,
weird.
so you know there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then
Yeah.
there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah.
So that's obviously the direct sequel there.
Yeah.
And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D is a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm.
And in that timeline where all those events happen, Leatherface is the prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay.
So the rich woman that owned the house is the woman in this film, and she's the auntie to Leatherface, and she's a female figure that's in the Sawyer house. And we get to see Grandpa. Grandpa's back in this, and he fucking glocks someone in the back of the head with a hammer and kills him instantly. So it's like, oh yeah, he really was the best at killing.
Yeah.
But so, and then you see that she ends up getting money because she married into a family, and like that's how that happens. That's how she gets loads of money for Texas Chainsaw 3D. But like the Sawyer family are already like cannibalistic, fucked up. Like they haven't devolved into this. They're just already that to begin with. So it's like that's kind of missing the point of the original film. But regardless, little fucking Leatherface is like gets a chainsaw for his 10th birthday, and he's told. I was watching, I was like, this is shit. Like, I was like, this is awful.
Come on, like.
But then he's told to kill someone, and he can't do it, and that's where Grandpa comes in and hits him on the back of the head.
All right.
But then they end up killing. They end up killing someone. Like there's two little boys and like this older brother character, and they end up killing this girl, and then the girl's dad is the sheriff of the place, and like he ends up like taking away the kids from like there's like this they say in the film that there was like this program by the state of Texas to like remove kids out of like degenerate families and stuff like that. So Leatherface and like the other kid that was there were taken away from the family. The other kid never comes back into it. Or at least I don't think he does. There's a character called Bud in the film who you think is going to be Leatherface. Like you assume that the like mute massive dude is the one that's going to be Leatherface, and especially because he's violent as well. Like they talk about how violent he is in the hospital and stuff like that. But then they all break out basically because of the power outage or whatever. And so we have this band of like psychopaths basically, and they've taken a nurse with them to keep her as a hostage, and they all float out. But there's two main ones that are like kind of leading the pack, and then there's Bud, who's like this kind of like passive dude who, if the other two tell him to do something, he'll do it. And then there's Jackson, and then there's the nurse, and the five of them float out, and like they're being hunted by the police because the police are just like, we just need to kill these fuckers basically because the sheriff has gone mad. And it's just not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, like in the same vein as literally all the 7 other films. Completely different.
What's it more like? What would you compare it to?
Like a Terrence Malick film, or like Badlands.
Terrence Malick film?
Yeah, honestly, it's like
What?
Badlands or something. It's like gritty, and it's about these like people that are just like going from place to place. Like it's like Badlands in that sense.
Yeah.
Like on the road, being chased by the police, like going somewhere and then massacring them and flown somewhere else.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, man, it's
Terrence
weird.
Malick film.
Yeah, well, that's why that like I watched the Dead Meat. They're like a YouTube channel, and he was described it as that. I was like, that's exactly what it's like. It's like Badlands, or like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of story or something like that.
It's like a chase.
Or like Natural Born Killers and stuff like that. It's like of that vein. And that's why it's cool and interesting. And it's by French extremity directors. So it is easily the goriest of any of the fucking...
What's the worst kill?
Well, one of the main like psychopaths, he's like there's a Bonnie and Clyde kind of situation going on where like there's one guy and he's just fucking insane, like he's mental. And then he has his girlfriend, and like when they're all breaking out, he like runs up to her and she just starts giving him head, and they start having sex while everyone else is breaking out and stuff like that. And he's a fucking piece of shit. He's the guy that's like forcing everyone else to be in that situation. There's a real stupid moment though, where I'll just talk about the most gruesome kill. So he is like abusing everyone basically, and he like the nurse like tries to escape at one stage, and he calls like Bud a fucking idiot. He's like, you're a fucking idiot, Bud, you're useless, God wasted time on creating you and stuff like that. And Bud is just like, oh, what the fuck? Because Bud was on watch and she escaped. So, like, your man's taking a piss and Bud just walks up behind him and, like, clocks him in the back of the head and knocks him out and just, like, pulls him away. And your man's, like, on the ground. He's all fucked up. He's like, oh, yeah. It's like half his face is all fucking bloody. And then Bud brings him up to a rock and opens his mouth and forces his teeth onto the rock. And your man's, like, trying to, like, move. And he's, like, jams his face into it. And he curb stomps him.
Jeez.
And you don't see it, but you, like, hear that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck. But you're also like,
grim.
you're also like, that piece of shit deserved it. Oh, fuck.
Oh, that's good, though. Satisfying.
Very the villains in this film get fucked up.
Yeah.
Like the bad characters in this film get like mauled.
Yeah, Leatherface is a good guy in this, isn't he? For most of it.
Yeah, because okay, so spoilers for Leatherface. If you give a shit about the spoilers for any of these for this terrible, this is a bad movie. Okay, so you shouldn't really care. Jackson turns out to be Leatherface, and he's like the one nice character along with the nurse. Like they're the two like nice, and Bud even you kind of feel bad for Bud because he's just being abused by the environment around him. But like they get Jackson turns out to be Leatherface, but Jackson is like short and he's like kind of scrawny, and it's like because they kind of do a red herring because they're like, oh, Bud is, you're like, oh, he's gonna be Leatherface, but that's not really getting that much sense because like how is Bud gonna turn into Leatherface? Like you can understand. Well, actually, no. The interesting thing is that like every one of the characters, like the four like kind of psychopaths that we follow, each one of them could be Leatherface. Even like Stephen Dorff is in this film, and he's the sheriff. Even he could be Leatherface if put underneath the right situation. Because he's brutal. Like he captures the Bonnie character at one stage, and he like smacks her in the head, and he cuts open her face, and he like holds her on the ground. He's like, where are the others? And she won't tell him, so he jams his finger into the cut and is like rubbing his finger into it and stuff like that, and then he executes her afterwards.
Jeez.
Like he would, and like he even captures Jackson, and he's about to like fuck him up and torture him, but then all the Sawyers come in and they save him, but then they massacre him afterwards. But there's a moment like. There's moments that are really interesting and cool, but then there's just complete shit. Like, there's a moment where they go into a trailer and they find a dead guy there, and like the nurse trips and her face jams into the dead guy's face, and she pulls her face away, and there's like spit, like, and all that stuff, and it's like, wow, that's really gross. Yeah. And then the two like Bonnie and Clyde characters are like having sex, and you can see that she has like the Bonnie character has like all scars on her and stuff like that, and they're having sex in the trailer. And like I was sitting there, I was like, why are the three other characters like not fucking them up now? Like, why are they just letting them have sex and like not doing anything? Yeah. Like they could get up because they're not chained or anything; they're just sitting there. And like Bud would fuck them up. Like Bud would beat the shit out of it. There's a moment where like Bud he comes into the office of the director of the mental like hospital place, and he punches him and drops him to the floor, and he grabs him and just bashes his head repeatedly into a glass window. Yeah. And it's like, oh fuck.
Jesus. It sounds like a completely different kind of take.
Oh man, it's complete. It's not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre at all until the last like 5-10 minutes.
What happens then?
That's when the Sawyers come into it, and then Leatherface is born. And because what happens is
that like a big like, whoa, it's like a fucking Fast and Furious moment. The whole family's coming together.
Family. Family. They drink a bottle of Corona and shit like that.
Yeah. It's just it's like a barbecue out back. Yeah. Sawyers We're family.
But I just want to mention that, right, so there's like, so they're having sex, the two Bonnie and Clyde characters, and
when
then
aren't these people having sex?
This is in the trailer, and then it cuts, and the dead guy is involved.
What? In the sex?
How? She's like on top of it, and like the dude is riding from behind, and she's like kissing it, and it's like necrophilia, and I was sitting there, it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely a French extremity director's. Jesus fucking Christ.
This is, well, to be fair, this is like the perfect franchise for that.
Yeah,
if you're going for that kind of thing.
I'm amazed that hadn't happened before.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool concept. You know, it's a completely different take on the on the whole series, though.
Yeah. Oh, completely.
But in a cool way.
Oh yeah. Even like to the fact where like when Leatherface is like born, right? So they're like escaping. Like the nurse character and Jackson are escaping, and you realize at this stage, oh, Jackson's gonna be Leatherface because Bud dies beforehand, and your man Jackson's like saying to her, Jackson's like, oh, we gotta go back for Bud, and she's like, no, we can't. Like she's just trying to flee at this stage. She's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, and Jackson's like, you're just like everyone else. You don't care about us, and he's like freaking out in the car, and then the sheriff is behind them, and he's shooting, and he ends up shooting Jackson through the cheek, and like teeth bust out, and he's like all fucked up, and he looks at her, and it's like this like slow motion pan of him like looking at her, and his face is all fucked up. And then they end up crashing, and they get captured by the sheriff, and then the sheriff is trying to torture them, and then the stores come in and save them, and then the auntie figure or whatever is like sewing up Jackson's face, and then she puts like a muzzle on him to like keep it in place, and you're like, oh, this is like he got shot in the face. That's why he's like not the same at all. Like he's been brutalized by the police and can't trust the people around him, and lost like basically his like brother, because Jackson doesn't remember who the Sawyers are because he was taken when he's like 10 years old or whatever. So he doesn't really, like 8 or 9. I think he's like 10. So he doesn't really remember his family because he's been like drugged up for years and like abused by authority figures and stuff like that. And like then he comes out and he's like he's pulling a chainsaw, and you're like, oh, like when he comes out, you're like, holy shit, yeah, now I can see how he becomes Leatherface. Like it's in that moment of him getting shot in the face and like get his face like sewn up, and like he's like walking funny and stuff like that. Like he has a limp and stuff because he fell at one stage as well, and he's like, hey, he has the limp, and you're like, oh yeah, like it's really well, like really really well done that you can see the transition to Leatherface, and it makes sense only in like a couple of scenes. And then he just chainsaws fucking Steven Dorff in half. Like he sticks it into his chest and he's like ramming it in and screaming or whatever.
Jeez.
And it's really well done. Anyway, then the nurse character flees, and she ends up running into a fucking bear trap. And like Jackson comes over to her, or Leatherface at this stage, and she's like pleading with him, like, Jackson, I know you're still in there. And the auntie figure is there or whatever. And she's like, do it, Jackson, kill her. Like we gotta get rid of her. And he's like kind of like, oh, what like he's gonna like, what am I gonna do? And then the nurse character goes like, it's just your crazy fucking auntie. And then he just snaps and immediately like very quickly just decapitates her with the chainsaw. Like it's really well done. It's so abrupt, but it's like family is important to Leatherface. Like, don't insult his family. That's all he has, which is key to the Leatherface character. And it's just like the directors understood that part of it.
At
like,
least, yeah.
They understood the character of Leatherface. Maybe not the socio-economic shit of Texas Chainsaw, but they understood key aspects of the film.
Yeah.
Or the character at the very least.
Yeah, that's not just like, oh, he's so scary.
He's just a crazy dude.
That's only at the very end that he's even revealed.
Yeah.
And it reveals something about the character that like makes sense with the original film.
Yeah.
It's not just like the whole slasher thing. Like the way he was turned into just like any old kind of like slasher villain.
Yeah.
Like this sort of.
They didn't do a Rob Zombie on it, like.
Yeah. Treats him as like the character that he was, like that he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a very interesting approach.
Film itself is a bit shit. Not gonna lie, the film itself is a bit shit.
I kind of want to watch it.
I'd recommend it.
I kind of want to watch it. What's it on?
Is it short? I watched it on Rakuten. So I had to stream it. But I got it for free because Rakuten gives you points, so I just used the points to watch it.
All right. Yeah. Sure. Find it somewhere.
I'm sure you can find it.
How long is it? Like
85 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad. I watch it at work.
Yeah. Honestly, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And like it's the goring is pretty good. I thought I was gonna hate this movie. I would rank it like mid tier, like in my ranking of like the Texas Chainsaw films, which I've now. I'll tell you now what my official ranking is.
You have an official ranking.
I have my official ranking.
Here we go.
This
will be in the description as well.
Yeah, link to my letterbox. So obviously, the first one we have obviously the original film, Texas Chainsaw. Then we have Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation, the second best one.
You can't really argue with it.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Texas Chainsaw: The New Beginning, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Remake, then Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and then Texas Chainsaw 3D. That's my ranking.
Yeah, that sounds pretty correct.
So
if this is better than the original, or not the original, sorry, the remake,
yeah,
the first remake, because I like that.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it anyway. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, but this is the same
better
thing.
than
I would say it's better than that. It's
Yeah.
it's like it's like pretty decent. It's like kind of ugly though, because I don't like the way that like all the films, like all the remake films, try to like replicate the look.
Yeah.
Like this one is like piss yellow the entire time.
Yeah, I hate when they do that. You used to do that in Breaking Bad all the time. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know why they felt the need to do that.
No idea.
It looks horrible. Like
it looks like shit.
Like when
Looks
you
like
go
piss. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's just the digital effects because like the original is shot on film.
Yeah.
Obviously, but it's not even that yellow either.
It's more like orange.
It's just washed out in the
Yeah.
background, and it's just like the natural color of the environment.
Yeah.
But like, I remember the remake, which is gray,
Yeah.
which is just like it toned down what it thought the palette of the original was. It's just like, lads,
Yeah.
do your own thing.
This one kind of does that where it's just yellow.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, because it's like it's the digital After Effects trying to do it, but it's like you can't replicate that.
Yeah.
I really need to pee. So.
All right.
Another thing that I watched and you also watched was a couple of short documentaries by what's his name?
Jean Painlevé. Jean Bread Levy.
Weird movies.
Very strange movies. Surrealist zoological cinema.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Cool.
Did you see this?
Fuck.
Did you see this in a movie? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it in a movie. I was like, oh, this is very interesting because it's like the whole thing is it's zoological surrealism. This was like he started in the 30s,
Yeah.
and the 40s. This guy Jean Painlevé, like he was a strange guy.
Oh, he's a weirdo.
He was the son of something. His father basically was the French prime minister twice. This is the guy who built the Maginot Line.
Yeah.
Like this guy was a big balls on him, mathematician and all this stuff. And Jean Painlevé went to like the Sorbonne in Paris. And he's like this, like he was involved in that kind of crazy scene, like in the 20s and stuff like that. We had all these weird guys running around just with straight, like crazy ideas. Andre Breton, I think, was in his class, like the main guy for surrealism. And he worked on, I think, comparative anatomy, and I think he had some like zoology classes and stuff like that, which you see a lot in this.
Oh yeah.
Because the whole
which ones did you watch? Just real quick.
I watched The Vampire, I watched Seahorse, and I watched The Octopus. So
I watched those three, and I watched The Love Life of an Octopus.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, he's another one just called The Octopus.
Oh, does he? Yeah. Apparently, The Love Life of the Octopus is Pablo Picasso's favorite film. But like that's the thing. Like because we have this idea right now. We've always had this idea that nature documentaries or anything about like animals is like a factual kind of thing. It's just laying out facts. It's just
or like,
showing things as they are.
Or even like the way that like Planet Earth and stuff like that like gives narrative to things that don't have a narrative. You know what I mean? Like they make good guys and bad guys in like Planet Earth. Yeah,
it's like the best we can do is like sort of map ourselves onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jean Painlevé does kind of reverses it. It's like I saw it described as anthropomorphism rather than anthropocentrism.
Yeah.
So it's not about us. It's not about how we relate to the animals. It's about how the animals can tell us something about ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is like surrealism is what under the real. It's like it was like a synthesis of dream and reality. A lot about the subconscious, like human subconscious, and how that relates to how we can sort of bring that out in the real world and sort of create a synthesis and that whole kind of blending of the senses in like these documentaries in his whole body of work. It seems to be like it's like a different thing where he's sort of blending the human and the inhuman.
Oh,
like what's outside our experience as humans, which is a very different kind of surrealism, but the same kind of
Yeah.
vibe, you know.
I think like one of the weirdest fucking moments in any of these documentaries. I think the seahorse one was my favorite one. But like when the seahorse is giving birth, and it's like and like pushing and stuff like that. I was like, that's like really human, but it's also like otherworldly, and like how everything else is depicted.
Yeah.
It's super weird, and like it just kind of shows like, you know, like aquatic life as like the completely weird alien world that it is, but
Yeah.
it's on our Earth.
Yeah, I think that's one of his quotes. Science is fiction.
Yes.
Science is fiction.
Yeah.
As like something that, it's not something. Oh, you're like you look at it in an exhibit, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. It's like something that says something about us in like a really abstract way, but it is there.
Yeah.
And he uses like a lot of like crazy techniques, like that film, what's it called, Ancien Andalou.
Yes.
Louis Buñuel. Like that was released, I think, 6 months after the life of an octopus.
Yeah.
But the life of an octopus uses the same kind of techniques, like montage. Like Painlevé was friends with Eisenstein, good friends with Sergei Eisenstein, who obviously founded the whole kind of like dialectical cinema, like montage cinema, where it's like the collision between two images creating like a synthesis of meaning. And so like in like something like Seahorse, or no, sorry, Vampire.
Yeah.
Where you have like the vampire bat, versus like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And then in like the octopus as well, you have like sort of these spliced images, like this montage kind of thing, where it's like evoking something else beyond just this image of like an octopus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not just an octopus; it's something that like we can see in ourselves.
Using icons to like create an emotion, and then the next thing that you see is the bat, and that emotion gets attached onto the bat.
Yeah, and you're seeing something else altogether, even though you're seeing something that's not actually there, which is like it's like a creative process. It's like it's very, very cool.
And these are all 10-12 minutes long.
Yeah, that was the best part. I was like, I'm watching all these, and they're so good. It's like
they're so good.
Yeah, I don't really like nature documentaries. Like they're relaxing and all, but like I just get bored.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just like they're nice and short, and like they have these like there's like SpongeBob soundtracks in the background as well.
The fucking alien soundtrack to the octopus one.
Yeah,
it's like the way the movie described it was like it turns it into a sci-fi horror, and it's like because like the shots of like the tentacles just like wrapping around each other, and it's just like with the music, and like there's something horrifying about it, but then there's also something extremely human about the love life of an octopus. Like the fact that like I didn't know this about octopuses or octopi, when they give birth, whatever, they lay their eggs, whatever, like the octopus will just like stroke the eggs and just keep water flowing and won't do anything else until the eggs hatch.
Yeah,
and they just take care of their young for fucking ages, just making sure that it's okay, and just like, aw, they care about the babies.
Yeah, it's just like us, but in a completely different alien way.
Imagine fucking having an egg that you just like stroke with your hands to make sure the air gets into it.
You get maternity leave, just go like.
Yeah, just constantly like rotating it, and like she doesn't do anything else other than that for like I don't know how long they're in eggs for, but a while.
Yeah, like people really like these as well. Like the seahorse, I think it was the seahorse one was really popular.
Oh man, I loved the seahorse one.
Yeah, because apparently people had whole different readings into it. Like the radical
moves so weirdly.
Yeah, like because seahorses is so sort of because it relates a lot to in the film itself. He splices. I think the last like sequence, he splices it with like an image of a horse, which is done a lot better than like it sounds. It's just like it's the whole thing of montage and like creating a synthesis of meaning.
Makes it noble.
Yeah, and but apparently at the time, like people had different readings. Like the radical feminists loved the idea that there was this whole thing of like the male being
birth.
The spontaneous male birth, and like the just sort of like this complete dissolution of gender kind of conventions and gender norms, and like even the radical right had this idea of like this promotes big families and like conservatism somehow and all this stuff. Mad. But like people loved it, and he created a jewelry line with one of his fucking co-conspirators or whatever, and like sold them on the streets of Paris, like just like these little medallions with seahorses on them. The guy was a visionary though. Like he
Yeah.
had like his whole production setup was he had this like little fucking, it was like a little warehouse and it's full of like it was like women, which wasn't a thing at the time. It was a lot of women working on the films, like just in the production process, creating these crazy things that no one had really seen before, but it was just animals basically, and then
Just
editing
animals just in their tanks.
and editing techniques.
Yeah.
And but it's all from he's from a scientific background, but creating at the same time this synthesis with avant-garde art, like at this really like important period of time.
Yeah.
In like the 20s, 30s. I think the seahorse one was 45.
Oh no, the seahorse one, they're in the 20s. The octopus one is in the 40s.
Oh no, his vampire was 45. Yeah, it was 1945. Whereas I was like, ah, fucking the World War II ended, and this guy's there filming like fucking
vampires,
filming fucking vampire bats, licking the noses of guinea pigs in like a little tank.
It's one of the best films I've ever seen.
In his gaff, yeah. It's like this guy was just doing bits.
You're crazy shit.
Yeah, you're crazy, man. I loved them. I thought they were
loved them
great.
as well. I loved them. I really, really loved them.
Yeah.
And like, I'll just knock this on again sometime because why not? They're so sure. I really like the way that they depict animals and like the weirdness of animals, but attaching on like human shit to it.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's this weird synthesis that you can only get at a time where they're just experimenting with film. Like, what can we do with images? And that's the only time where that really happens, I think, Henry. One of the only times, because it did mad shit back then.
Les surrealists.
We go for a break before
a
listener
break.
questions? If you have a question, hot take, opinion, whatever, you can hit us up on Twitter or on Instagram at @paro_pod. Or you can hit us up by Gmail at the Paro... No, not at the Paropod. The Paropod at gmail.com.
That's the one.
Now, we've got no time for listener questions. It's late.
We don't have time for that.
We've been going on for ages. So instead, we're just going to fast forward and go to our question to you. If you want to ever answer our question, we put it up on the Instagram. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, so our question to the listener was, what are some films that you think are perfect? Are they your favorite films or films you might think that might not be your favorite, but you think are perfect technically, artistically, whatever? Our first response comes in from Luke. Shout out to Luke.
Shout out to Luke.
Shout out to Luke in every post, pretty much. So
thanks for all the bits.
all the bits. He's saying only saw it once, but Queen and Slim ticked a lot of boxes. Soundtrack, cinematog, character, etc. I have to say, I have never seen that film.
Haven't seen it, but I know Daniel Kaluuya's in it, so
It's probably
I'm
really
sure it's
good.
well acted.
You know?
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
But like, yeah,
I've never heard of it.
what are like, because like this is something that a lot of people brought up, and that was like the idea of like different aspects of a film. Like, what are some aspects of a film that would be like that would make it perfect? Like soundtrack.
A soundtrack.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just, you know, if it just matches, you know. Don't know a lot about music, so just sometimes it's just really works. I read something about the Omen soundtrack being really good.
Did you notice it?
I didn't notice it when I was watching it, but when I was reading about it, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because they took a really common prayer, like a psalm or whatever, that they say in like Catholic churches and stuff, and they reversed the lyrics.
Oh,
They play-
spooky.
Yeah, but like they reversed the lyrics like literally, like
Yeah.
it's about Satan, but it's said in Latin, and it's like chanted. They use like Gregorian chants and plain chants, like old medieval chants, in like the demonic sequences and stuff like that. Which you hear, you're like, oh, that's just demonic music, but like there was thought behind it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's something like that.
Like a bit of thought put into my me music.
That's all you want.
Yeah, like characters and stuff like that. I think like There Will Be Blood is a pretty perfect film. Not one of my favorites or anything, but I just think like technically speaking it is, and also character wise, like the way the film goes into the mind of its protagonist. Can't for the life of me think of the character's name, but the way that it goes into his mind is super cool, super interesting, and I like that.
Yeah. Our next answer comes in from Paddy. He's saying Blood Diamond for a fact, or else Herzog's Bad Lieutenant.
Again, two films I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
I've heard, again, great things. Although I thought,
Blood Diamond was always on Sky Box Office.
man, yeah, that's a Sky Movies movie if I've ever seen one. But like, I haven't seen it. I'm pretty like I've heard good things. I've seen the end of it. That's the only thing I've ever seen.
I just remember Leo DiCaprio's in it. It's about African stuff.
It's about blood mines and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Mining for blood.
And Herzog's Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Nick Cage one. Again, I haven't seen that.
It seems like a weird one.
But if someone's going to do a perfect movie, it might be Herzog.
Herzog definitely, yeah.
Artistically speaking as well.
You know? Yeah. But, you know, he's all about, you know, the kind of, the excess, the ecstatic truth, which is always like, because you have like technically perfect, but then you have a different kind of perfect, you know? It's like, I don't know, like a holy kind of perfect, which is like ineffable.
Like Penda's fan.
Penda's fan, maybe, yeah, because that is, for me, one of the, like, you know, it does everything that you'd want it to do and that it wants to do, you know, very, you know, very wordy, but also very, like, visually astute. So that'd be one that I would put up there. Absolutely.
Also, the message behind the film is also extremely important.
Yeah.
Got a vibe with the message.
Yeah, it's like weaving in now and then it comes around to a little, it all dovetails at the end. You love it. You love to see it.
You love to see it.
You love to see it, you know, those old pagan kings. And we have another response from Tom. Tom saying Fight Club and Trainspotting. I don't know, they just hit all the right notes.
Yeah. Trainspotting. I love Trainspotting.
They do. You know, it's
classics as well.
Some of those films, just like, they just, you know.
Fincher,
yeah, that's the thing. You have perfectionist directors, people like Fincher, people like Kubrick, you know, where they're like, they set out to make a perfect film. Lars von Trier, you're saying Antichrist was is technically perfect.
Yeah, technically speaking, there's no goofs or anything on that film.
Yes, that's like a certain kind of way that a film can be perfect.
But artistically speaking, it's not.
Yeah, artistically speaking, it's repugnant.
Yeah. It's like the messaging is all fucked up, so it's like,
yeah,
no, that's also very important.
That's true, yeah. And then Ben saying Godfather 1, although I prefer Godfather 2 due to De Niro, is just flawless. Godfather 1 is amazing. It actually is.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a very long time.
Yeah, it's like it's like so, I don't know, it's just perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Just like such a great build-up, a lot of tension. And then you have
great
that
montage scene as well.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic montages of all time.
Yeah, and you have that amazing sequence in the diner.
Yeah.
Very cathartic, you know. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
You
Get
know?
in there, son.
It's proper building the tension with the use of the train in the background and stuff. It's like
Coppola again, another perfectionist probably.
Coppola, yeah. But then you have Apocalypse Now, which is a disaster.
Yeah.
Like in every sense of the word, technically, but still managed to come out as one of the best films of all time.
Yeah.
You know.
But even technically speaking, it's still an amazing film.
Oh yeah,
but it's because they bombed the shit out of this one.
Yeah, because they bombed everything, you know. They basically reproduced the Vietnam War.
Just to make a movie.
Yeah, you know, that's dedication. That is perfectionism. Ben also says Ratatouille. And he says, not a perfect film, but perfect cinematography, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Yeah,
what are some films that you think are perfectly shot?
The Master is a very beautiful film. Perfectly shot.
Yeah, The Master, man. That scene with the fucking stop, go again. That scene, amazing.
Yeah. Even or Terrence Malick films, Badlands.
Badlands is beautifully
Thinking
shot.
Of that, you know, like I think he's but that's kind of like a poetic kind of trip, you know. It's like it's not technically like perfect, but it's like it's not about being like exact, you know. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's about being, you know, ooh, we're all airy fairy.
Yeah,
you know, it's
we're
like,
all out there.
It's kind of dreamy and stuff, you know. Days of Heaven.
I haven't seen Days of Heaven. It's on my list though.
You should watch Days of Heaven.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful film. All shot at golden era. Perfect Instagram film. You know,
even like Nomadland was pretty like perfectly shot.
Yeah, it's very well done. Yeah, but they still had the sequences where like it was clear that they weren't.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's
together.
Yeah, that's a mistake there in the shooting of it. Yeah,
Chloe Zhao, you fucking amateur. Come on, get together. You Oscar award winning heroine. And then Neil is saying La Haine.
Yeah,
La Haine.
La Haine is also an amazingly shot film. So many beautiful shots of Paris in that film, and you have the iconic shot of Vincent Cassel, and he's like
in the mirror.
In the mirror, but it's like the mirror, like it's shot from behind his head. So there's just got like someone else that also had a very strangely shaped head to like replicate him as he's doing it.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it with my family, and I said like, "Oh, that like, did you notice?" Like we were watching the film. I was like, "Did you notice that?" Because I'd seen it on some fucking YouTube video before, and they're like,
"You're just waiting to say that."
Sitting there stroking my chin, like, "Ow!"
You just got him left.
Here's a bit of trivia for you. I don't need to see this film now.
Yeah.
But like the way that they replicated it was that because it's shot from behind his head, and then the camera pans up, and he's in a mirror. but like obviously the camera doesn't pop up in the mirror. And my mom and my dad were like, I didn't even notice that. I was like, yeah, it's like it's a hole in the wall and someone's like replicating them. And then when you go back and you watch it, like your man is slightly off behind him. Like one of them is slightly ahead of him, like just a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
So it's not perfect. So
No, Neil, you're fucking wrong.
It's a complete fuck up of a film. Look, the mirror scene wasn't even right. You know, didn't even get it right.
It's an iconic bit in the film. It's such a good movie, though. The end is a class film.
The hate, the French,
the French perfectionists.
But they combine the spirit of it. You know, it's the whole thing. Dialectics.
Yeah, montage. I would say those documentaries that we watched were pretty perfect.
Yeah.
For what they set out to do.
Yeah.
You can't fuck up much in 9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes. Yeah, didn't have much room to fuck up. And, you know, Painlevé, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. Kind of unknown. So,
yeah, I've never heard of anyone talking about those films.
Yeah, so please start talking about him now. And credit the Parapod when you bring it up in conversation.
And just fucking bombard Mubi. Just say, these boys.
These guys, these are just talking about you every week.
These gossoons.
These gossoons, they're kind of hard on their they're hard on their luck, you know. They need a bit of cash, you know. They'd love a free subscription beyond 2024, you know. So it's just those simple things. Yeah, help us out.
Come on, we only have 3 years of it left. Oh, I know. Yeah. What are some films that you would also say
that I would say are perfect?
Yeah.
Wicker Man. I'd say maybe.
Wicker Man.
You know, musical. I don't like musicals, but Wicker Man is maybe the perfect musical for me. In the sense that it just uses music as part of a story.
Same thing as you were saying about Omen. Kind of unique, interesting stuff they did with the music.
Yeah. Actually, the soundtrack to Wicker Man is pretty cool. You know, because it's all about, you know, it's all choruses and stuff. You know, talking about, you know, the people, the commune.
Paganism, once again.
Paganism. It's all the people. It's coming up. It's rising up. Stuff like that. And then you have like these cool scenes in like the pub where they're just singing like all these weird folk songs.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's something off about this. There's something weird.
Something cool.
It's just about having sex and stuff like that. So why are they singing about this?
Yeah. Having sex with the one girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Texas Chainsaw as well. We mentioned that.
Yeah. Zodiac. Fincher films. I go with The Thing maybe.
Yeah. John Carpenter. Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween.
Thing is great. I've only watched The Thing once. And I thought it was pretty good, but I know if I rewatch it again, I'd love it.
Yeah, you should watch it again.
It's one of those things.
It's very, very good.
Yeah,
it's one of the best films by far. I just saw it there.
Yeah, I have it there on Blu-ray, so I've got no reason not to.
Yeah.
Oh, Alien.
Yeah, Alien. Yeah,
I adore Alien. Alien is like perfect atmosphere, perfect, you know, acting, whatever. Maybe artistically a bit fucked up because they fuck up a few bits of it, but like, you know.
You can't blame them, you know. It's not all about that stuff, you know.
There's so many aspects to a film for it to be perfect.
Yeah, a lot of it is subjective,
you
man.
also got to vibe with it. Vibology, we mentioned.
Vibology, it's a science and it's real.
You have to vibe with the film as well.
Yeah. Something like Shrek.
Shrek 2.
Shrek 2, Vibe City at the end. But it doesn't matter. That could have been stick figures, you know. But it wasn't. It was a combination of everything.
There's music,
it brought everything,
the
music,
visuals,
characters. You know, the rhythm of it, the editing.
Editing is key.
Absolutely key.
Yeah. Editing is so underrated from type of films. Like that's how you pace your movie.
Yeah, montage, man.
Yeah.
Fucking Eisenstein.
Look
it up, bro. Dialectics, bro.
He came up on a module before. I know what I'm talking about.
I know that guy. Steve told me all about it, man. Yeah, you know, so it's all out there. It's all subjective.
What about like Shawshank? Because Shawshank will come up and like,
nah, fuck that.
Yes.
That film's it's good. It's just like perfect.
Yeah, I know. I think it's good.
I think it's perfect in that kind of like, you know, really dry way. Like there's nothing wrong with the film.
Yeah, it's perfect in like it's the most agreeable film ever made.
Yeah. Like there's Marvel films that are perfect as well, in the sense that like they do exactly what they say in the tin. But like at the same time, it's not something that
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. There's Captain America,
and
there is a Winter Soldier.
Yeah, great fight sequences, great action, cool, pretty good story. Like, you know, there's tension. But like you wouldn't return to that. Be like have like some kind of divine kind of, you know, moment with that film. You know, it's perfect in a really mundane kind of way.
I know what you mean. Yeah, vibing is also a key aspect in films, which is why there can never be a perfect film. like, you know, on a objective level. Art can never be perfect.
True.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is like a similar conversation that we had about like 10s, but I think giving a film a 10 doesn't mean that it's perfect.
No, it just means that you vibed with it at the right time.
Yeah, you vibed with
the
it.
stars aligned briefly, and you just loved it. You know.
Yeah. Stars align a lot when I watch Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's they say at the start of the film. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, bro. Look it up.
Look it up, bro. I can't wait for our Halloween episode again.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, what would we do?
Yeah, I have to go in some deep dives. Some deep dives.
Some weird, strange places.
But yeah. So what's the recommended film again?
Next week we are talking about Ozu's Tokyo Story, a film that is regarded by film directors as being a perfect film.
Oh
so
shit.
We'll have to vibe with it and check. You know,
we've got to vibe check this film.
We're gonna vibe check the movie.
Yeah.
See how we're feeling. You know, maybe it is a perfect movie. I don't know.
We'll decide.
Our last film. Oh no, the one beforehand, Mission, was a pretty perfect film.
Yeah, Mission was. Yeah,
Mission was a great film.
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. I still think about that movie.
That film actually is amazing. Yeah.
The Wall is not.
Was dead. No, it's like the opposite of perfect. You know, it's just like it's jagged, but it's still good, but like in a different way.
It's like it's like I wanted. No, that's a terrible metaphor. Never mind. Ignore that. I'm dropping that immediately. Just fucking abandon that. All right, we'll see you all next week, everyone.
All right.
Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next week.
You will hear us next week.
We will be in your ears.
Watch out.
Bye.